Dear students, welcome once again to yet another session on econometric methods course. In the previous module, I discussed the meaning, context and types of dynamic models. Then I elaborated the distributed lag model along with its features. In today's module, we are going to discuss the econometric issues in the estimation of distributed lag model. So, let us go to the different approaches to the estimation of distributed lag model. Now, let us see the different methods of estimating distributed lag model. There are two broad methods, one is ad hoc estimation method, the other one is a priori restriction method. In the a priori restriction, there you have two approaches, Quoyak's approach and the Allman's approach. Let us see them all one by one. First one is the ad hoc estimation method. This is proposed by Alt and Tinbergen, and this is just the usual application of multiple linear regression model in the context of distributed lag model. But of course, deciding on the lag is a important issue. So, that was taken care of by a sequential procedure. This model with the start with a very simple multiple linear regression model in distributed lag model. Here we will have the yt on xt and xt minus 1 as the simplest model, and here we will use the MLRM procedures to estimate alpha, beta 0 and beta 1. Now, if the beta 1 is significant, if the beta 1 is found to be significant, we will proceed on to the next step. If beta 1 is not significant, if it is insignificant, we will stop the method here itself. So, this will be the final model. If it is not, if it is significant, we will move on to the next step, that is we will introduce two lags, yt on xt, xt minus 1 and xt minus 2. So, this model will be estimated. Again, we will check for the significance of these coefficients. If beta 2 is significant, then we will move on to the next. If it is found insignificant, we will stop the model here. So, we actually will go on repeating this procedure actually till we get this the last coefficient insignificant. So, sequential procedure is continued till beta is found to be insignificant, and also we will look for changes in signs. If the signs or actually signs of the coefficient changes at one point, we will stop there. So, there are two criteria used to continue the process of sequential procedure. For example, this is the model estimated using ad hoc estimation method. This is the first equation, yt on xt, we get to know the coefficients. So, you continue the process. At one stage, you get the change in sign, right. The second stage, you have the coefficient does not change much for xt, and now we have one lag, we estimate this, and the second lag, when you introduce the second lag variable, you get the coefficient changing sign from the usual same sign. So, if the signs changes, or as I told you earlier, if the coefficient is insignificant, we will stop the process there. So, this is a simple procedure making use of the MLRM procedure. It continues till the coefficients are insignificant and when actually it changes sign. Okay. But this procedure has got its own problem. Now, let us see the drawbacks of this method. Though it the method seems very simple and straightforward, it has got its own drawbacks. First drawback is that there is no a priori guide to decide what is the maximum length of lag to be included in the model. Though the t statistic is used in the model to decide on the number of lag variables to be included, but still it may lead to the problem of misspecification and it will cause the other econometric issues. Secondly, more seriously, as we include the successive lag variables, you tend to have fewer and fewer degrees of freedom. In the process of adding one lag variable, you may lose one sample point, and so the sample size is reduced by one data point, and also you tend to increase the burden of estimating one more coefficient. Algebraically, we can explain like this. Actually, if you include one lag variable, the sample size is reduced by one data point and the coefficient to be estimated increases by 1, and so the degrees of freedom loses by 2 measure. So, in this case, if you include one additional lag variable, you lose 2 degrees of freedom. If you include one more, so 2 data point is lost and 2 variables, 2 coefficients to be estimated, actually it increases to 2, and so you lose 4 degrees of freedom. So, it increases in multiplication. Actually, if you include 3 lag variables, you lose 6 degrees of freedom. I will explain now how the sample size is reduced. If this is the data point, if this is the x t values, x t minus 1 will have first you will not have the previous value, and so this will not be there. So, you will have the previous value in the second time period 1, third time period 2, fourth time period 3, like that it goes. If you derive the second lag variable, right, 2 will be left free and the other variables will follow from the third observation. The third lag variable will be obtained by freezing the first 3 without values, and all the values will continue from the fourth observation. So, this is how the lag variables are derived. So, if the model has got only x t, it will have 5 observations. If x t minus 1 is added, naturally the first observation cannot be used for estimation. So, you can have only 4 data points. So, when you include the one lag variable, naturally one observation is lost. If you include the second by x t minus 2 variable, naturally these 2 observations will go. So, you lose 2 observations and left with 3 data points. Similarly, if you include one more lag variable, naturally the 3 observations will go off and only you will be left with 2 data points. So, naturally the data points will be lost, otherwise sample size is decreased by as many the lag variables you include. So, this will create the problem of micronumerosity, right. This will lead to the unstable estimation, because of when the degrees of freedom is lost, naturally the statistical inference becomes a big problem. Third issue is, when you add successive values of lagged explanatory variables, they will be greatly interrelated, and so it will lead to the problem of multicollinearity. So, the lag variables will lead to multicollinearity problem. So, x t, x t minus 1, x t minus 2, all are the related variables, and so you will have close relationship, and so the correlation will be high between x t and x t minus 1. This will create a multicollinearity problem. naturally this will create an econometric issue. Lastly, the lag selection is purely based on statistical significance, and so this process is not based on any theoretical considerations, and it is exploratory in nature, and so it is not an econometric model, it is a data mining model. So, this is another criticism on the ad hoc method. So, ad hoc method is not quite often used because of these problems, and so the popular ones are the a priori restriction methods. We will see one by one. Now, let us see the second approach, a second method called a priori restrictions method. In the a priori restrictions, we give prior restrictions on the distributed lag model regression coefficients. The pattern of regression coefficients are prior assumed. There are two approaches in this method. One is Quack's approach, the other one is called Ullmann's approach. First, let us see the Quack's approach. The Quack's approach was introduced by Quack. This method assumes the effect or impact decreases with time. Not only decreases, it decreases geometrically. So, the regression coefficients would be modeled like this: beta I is equal to beta 0 lambda I, I varies from 0 to infinity. The lambda will be between 0 and 1, and this lambda can be interpreted as the rate of decline or decay. Otherwise, 1 minus lambda is the speed of adjustment. So, now let us assume this a geometrical decrease of impact. This can be graphically represented like this. So, it is smoothly decreasing. As time increases, the lag is now increasing, the effect, the beta k, decreases. If lambda is higher and higher, the impact will slowly decrease. If the lambda is very low, the decrease is very slow. The decrease is decline is very slow, and beta I is equal to beta 0 lambda I implies, if you put I equal to 0, we will get beta 0 equal to beta 0 into lambda 0, that is equal to beta 0 into 1, and otherwise this is beta 0 equal to beta 0, fine. If you put I equal to 1, what would you get? Beta 1 is equal to beta 0 into lambda power 1, that is beta 0 into lambda. If you put I equal to 2, you get beta 2 is equal to beta 0 into lambda square. If you put I equal to 3, we get beta 3 equal to beta 0 into lambda cube. So, it goes on. If that is the case, we can estimate the long term impact in this distributed lag pattern. Sigma beta I is equal to beta 0 plus beta 1 plus beta 2, etc. And if you substitute these values, beta 1 is equal to beta 0 lambda, beta 2 is equal to beta 0 lambda square, beta 3 is equal to beta 0 lambda cube, like that. If you substitute, you may take all the beta 0 outside. Within the bracket, we can write 1 plus lambda, lambda square plus lambda cube, etc. This is a geometric series, and we may sum it, that is equal to 1 by 1 minus lambda. So, the long term impact is nothing but beta 0 divided by 1 minus lambda. Now, we may estimate the medium lag for the Quack's approach. The median lag we already know. The median lag is the time required for the 50% of total change in y following a unit change in x. So, that is found to be log 2 divided by log lambda. So, if the lambda is 0.25, the median lag is estimated to be 0.5, If lambda is 0.75, the median lag is estimated to be 2.4. What is the meaning? What does it mean? To realize the 50% of the effect on y, it takes half the year. To realize the impact, the total impact on y, it requires 2.5 years. So, and also we may define another speed related measure. Mean lag is nothing but lambda by 1 minus lambda. These two measures will characterize the speed of change in the distributed lag model. Now, let us see how the model is estimated under Quayax approach. The distributed lag model may be taken as yt is equal to alpha plus beta 0 xt plus beta 1 xt minus 1 beta 2 xt minus 2, like that. It goes, it is an infinite lag distributed model. In the Quayax approach, we know beta I is equal to beta 0 lambda power I. So, if you substitute these values, we get yt is equal to alpha plus beta 0 xt plus, instead of beta 1 we may put beta 0 lambda power 1 xt minus 1 plus beta 0 lambda square xt minus 2, like that it goes up to ut. So, under the Quayax assumption, the equation becomes like this. Let us take this as 1. Then we may write yt minus 1 from the above equation, that is equal to alpha plus beta 0 xt minus 1. So, instead of xt minus 1 is substituted, xt minus, instead of xt minus 1 we put xt minus 2, actually because all of them are 1 lag behind. So, we write this equation. We multiply both sides by lambda in the lagged regression, lagged distributed lag model. We get lambda yt minus 1 lambda alpha plus beta 0 lambda xt minus 1 plus beta 0 lambda square xt minus 2, etc. lambda ut minus 1. Let us take this as second equation, and we will subtract the first distributed lag model under the Quayax assumption of beta I plus beta 0 lambda I is the first equation. We are going to subtract that equation and this second equation. We get in the left hand side yt minus lambda yt minus 1, and the right hand side you get different terms. This underlined terms are taken from the second equation, and not underlined terms are from the first equation. So, you get alpha in the first minus lambda alpha is taken from the second regression, the second equation, and so you are writing that, and beta 0 xt and beta 0 lambda xt minus 1 are taken from the first regression, first equation, and this beta 0 lambda xt minus 1 is taken from the second equation. So, if you write that, the corresponding terms will get cancelled. Actually, just look at this, beta 0 lambda xt minus 1 and plus beta 0 xt lambda xt minus 1 and minus beta 0 lambda xt minus 1 will get cancelled, and like that beta 0 lambda square xt minus 1 minus beta 0 lambda square xt minus 2 terms will get cancelled. Similarly, all the terms except this term, this one and the last term will not be cancelled. So, you are writing that yt minus lambda yt minus 1 alpha can be taken outside 1 minus lambda plus beta 0 xt minus 1 and the last term in this equation, right. So, you will remain with this, and you may take this lambda yt minus 1 to the right hand side. So, you get yt is equal to alpha star plus beta 0 xt plus lambda yt minus 1 plus vt, where alpha star is equal to 1 minus lambda alpha, vt is equal to ut minus lambda ut minus 1. If alpha star is this one, naturally alpha is equal to alpha star divided by 1 minus lambda. So, this is the final equation you get. So, what you do is you started off with a distributed log, infinite lag distributed lag model. You ended up in a very simple autoregression model. So, this is called Quayax transformation. So, you transform the infinite lag distributed lag model into a finite lag autoregressive model. This autoregressive model can be easily estimated. So, you may estimate this model. So, after estimating this model, you may get alpha, beta 0 and lambda, because alpha can be obtained from alpha star of this regression equation. So, because alpha is nothing but alpha star divided by 1 minus lambda. How would you get this lambda? Lambda is nothing but the coefficient of yt minus 1. So, once lambda is obtained, you may definitely find 1 minus lambda and 1 by 1 minus lambda and hence the alpha. So, from beta 0 is nothing but the coefficient of xt. So, from this simple regression you can estimate alpha, beta 0 and lambda. So, naturally once these things are found, we already know the regression, the distributed lag regression coefficients. Beta i's, we have the relationship beta I is nothing but beta 0 into lambda power I, and so you can estimate beta 0, beta 1, beta 2, beta 3. So, the entire set of regression coefficients could be estimated with this alpha, beta 0 and lambda. In this estimation, we would lose one data point in the sample, but it prevents the loss of additional degrees of freedom when you include the different lag variables of the independent variables. So, you save lot of degrees of freedom because you estimate only 3 distinct estimates, nothing else. With these 3 base regression coefficients, you can estimate all the other regression coefficients of the original distributed lag model. The distributed lag model is converted into an autoregressive model. This is called auto transformation. Just look at this. This is the original distributed lag model. This is converted into a simple autoregressive model. So, this is the feature, but it has got its own problem. Actually, once though this estimation looks very simple, it has got its own problem. The inclusion of yt minus 1 as independent variables may lead to bias if yt minus 1 and ut minus ut are correlated. So, we have to be very careful about this. And another important problem that might arise is that Vt is equal to ut minus lambda ut minus 1, right. We have already known, actually we have in the equation we defined. This Vt is autocorrelated even if ut is not autocorrelated. So, it invites the problem of autocorrelation into the system. So, you have 2 problems to address with the inclusion of yt minus 1 in the right hand side lead to the problem of bias into the system, and also Vt will have the autocorrelation problem even if ut is not autocorrelated. So, these are the problems that you will have in this problem. You have to anticipate this, and this 2 things have to be corrected. Unless you correct this, you will have severe estimation problems in the distributed lag model estimation with Quayax approach. To compare the distributed lag model estimation approaches of the Quayax and the ad hoc method, I have taken an example from the Studenman's book. Let us take the consumption function on the disposable income. So, this is the distributed lag model as CT is equal to minus 38.11 plus 0.52. YD means over here the disposable income at time t, and 0.46 CT minus 1 is the a past level of consumption at time t minus 1. So, we are taking this, and this model is estimated using the coax transformation, and this model seems to be perfectly all right. And from this model alpha, beta 0 and lambda is found, and we recreated the distributed lag model coefficients. So, these are all the distributed lag model coefficients obtained from coax approach. And also this equation is done using our usual OLS method, adding one variable at a time, one lag variable at a time, and checked this significance of coefficients. And this model, you can compare these two, and the coefficients will be little different. This difference is due to the problem of multicollinearity in the Haddock's estimation method. So, you can naturally see in this comparison, you can say this coax approach is devoid of all this multicollinearity problem, because it is not estimated with the correlated coefficients, correlated variables, and so this is devoid of all this problem. And so, you can see the distributed lag model based on the coax approach is better than the Haddock's method, Haddock method. From the estimated distributed lag model in the autoregression form, we may estimate the parameters of the distributed lag model, infinite distributed lag model. We know from here, we already know alpha is equal to this alpha star minus 38.11 divided by 1 minus lambda will give us alpha. Beta 0 is nothing but the coefficient of the independent variable, that is 0.52, and lambda is nothing but the coefficient of the autoregressive term, that is CT minus 1 here, that is 0.46. So, naturally the alpha is nothing but minus 70.57. From these parameters, we may estimate the median lag and mean lag. So, if you substitute the value of lambda, that is 0.46, we get 0.8926, and mean lag 0.85, that is the 50% of the total effect is realized in less than 1 year. That is the conclusion that we can make here. So, this is the rate of decay, and 1 minus 0.46, that is 0.54 is the rate of adjustment. So, all these parameters can be estimated once this simple autoregressive regression is estimated. Let us summarize what we have learnt in this module. Today we saw different approaches used to estimate the distributed lag models, namely the Haddock method and the a priori method. In this case, coax approach was used. I hope you would have enjoyed the session today. Wish you a happy learning. Goodbye.